Hello YouTube, today I'm going to be making Italian meatballs. This is a very special recipe because normally the recipe calls for 1 pound of ground beef and half a pound of ground pork, but in this case I'm going to be using half a pound of Italian sausage, the sausage that I made in a previous recipe. It adds flavor to it, it kicks everything up, and it is delicious this way. So I'm going to show you guys the ingredients and we'll get started. We're going to be using a pound of ground beef, which we have here, about half a pound of Italian sausage. We're going to use about half a cup of Parmesan cheese, maybe less. We're going to use minced up garlic, maybe 2 cloves, minced up parsley, salt, pepper, red pepper flakes. And for the breadcrumbs, we're not using breadcrumbs. We're going to take this bread here and we're going to add milk to it. We've taken some French bread, like a baguette, and we've cut the edges off. And now we're simply just going to pour a little bit of milk on top. I'd say all in all, maybe 1/3 of a cup. And just make sure the bread absorbs up all the milk, so it's nice and soggy and manageable. In a mixing bowl, we're going to add the ground beef. We're going to add the ground sausage, which is basically half of the ground beef. We're going to add the fresh parsley, almost all of the fresh garlic, save a little bit for the sauce we're making, plus the sausage already has some garlic in it. And for now, let's start off with about 1/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I almost forgot an egg. We've beaten up 1 egg. I'm going to pour that on top. And don't forget the salt and pepper. Now the sausage already has some salt in it, so we don't want to overpower it. But keeping in mind this is about a pound of beef, I don't know, I guess I would say a little bit more than a teaspoon of salt. Freshly cracked. Some freshly cracked black pepper. A good amount. We don't want these meatballs to be bland. We want them to be delicious and exciting. And for a little bit of heat, just a little bit of red pepper. The sausage already has red pepper in it too, so we don't want to add too much. And finally, well, almost finally, a good amount of the Italian seasonings. Not too much, keeping in mind that the sausage is already seasoned, and the bread. So we take this bread, we're going to start mushing it up. Now that the bread is broken down, let's just mix it all up. Get your hands in there and mix everything until it's one uniform mass and it's 100% mixed. All the herbs and spices, both the meats, the bread, the egg, and the cheese and all that, is perfectly mixed together. Now that we've got everything completely mixed up, I'm just going to put it into a little ball like this. And we're going to cover it up and put it in the fridge for an hour. So we're going to cover it up and put it in the fridge for an hour and start the sauce. Turn the heat on, medium, and put a nice pot down on it. Start heating it up and give it some olive oil. What we're going to do, maybe about a tablespoon and a half. What we're going to do is wait for it to heat up, fry the onion for 2 or 3 minutes until nice and translucent, put the garlic in, give it another minute, we don't want to burn the garlic, and then add a nice 28-ounce can of blended tomato puree, and about half of this small 4-ounce can, so maybe about 2-3 ounces of tomato paste. As the pot is nice and hot now, we're going to add the onion. This is basically half of an onion minced up really fine. Now the onion is translucent. It's been about 2 minutes. We're going to add the rest of the garlic. Get it all in there. Cook that for 1 more minute before we add the sauce. So it's been about a minute. We can smell the garlic coming off. We don't want to burn it, so we pour in the 28-ounce can of tomato puree. And we're going to give it about 3 ounces of tomato concentrate, what do you call it, tomato paste. give it some flavor and body to the sauce. And then we're going to take the can, put some water in it. We put water in the can to get all the tomato out of the bottom. And also because we don't want the sauce to be too thick now, because we're going to be cooking it for an hour before we even throw in the meatballs or start cooking the meatballs. So we don't want it to be too thick. It's going to be soupy now, but by the time the meatballs are in there, it's going to be nice and thick. So get that all mixed well and then start seasoning. Now we're going to give it a lot of salt and pepper. A little bit of red pepper and some Italian spices. We'll mix this all up and then taste it. Now we're going to taste it. It's good on the salt, but I'm going to give it a little bit more pepper. And a few more Italian seasonings. Then it should be perfect. What we're going to do is bring this up to a boil and then turn the heat all the way on low and just let it simmer for 1 hour at least before we start the meatballs. Then we're going to cook the meatballs and then put the meatballs in the sauce. So after about an hour and a half, the meatballs will be in there. By the way, I had the oven on 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 176 Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit. We're preheating the oven and we're going to bake the meatballs in there for about 20 minutes at the most. Okay, so the meatball mixture has been in the fridge for about an hour now, actually a little bit more than an hour. It's time to start forming these meatballs. We're first going to lightly oil this baking dish here. Oven safe baking dish, let's just oil it so nothing sticks. Get the sides and everything. Now we're going to form enough meatballs to fit in here and then save the rest. So, we just take a nice little amount. We want to make nice decent sized meatballs, roll it out. Like this. And make enough to fit in this dish. So we made 6 meatballs, 6 very large meatballs with what we had, and we put the rest in the freezer. We have a 350 degree preheated oven. Put them in there. We're going to cook them until they're browned on the outside. Even if they're not completely done on the inside, we'll finish them in the sauce. Give it about 15 minutes and we'll see how they're doing. The meatballs are almost 100% done. They've got a nice brown color and they're almost completely cooked. They're about 130, 140 degrees in the middle. We're just going to finish these in the sauce. So we just dump them in. They've gotten the shape that they're going to keep. They've gotten really nice. We put them in the sauce. Make sure they get covered completely with the sauce. And they will be done in about 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes in the sauce. Just make sure to randomly stir the sauce, scraping off the bottom so nothing sticks. Okay, so the meatballs are done. I had to leave the house for about half an hour. I know it sucks. I had no other choice. They were already pretty much done. I had taken them out of the oven where they were about 80% done. I put them in the hot sauce and cooked them for about 15 more minutes. So they had to be done then. I kept the cover on, left for about half an hour. I just turned the heat back on. It's coming up to a little bit of a boil, whatever. So in the meantime, I got some pasta water going and I'm going to cook some spaghetti. I'll show you what it all looks like when I set this meal up. Talk to you guys soon. We've got the water to a really nice rapid boil, as you can see. We're going to give it a lot of spaghetti. We are hungry. We're going to be eating ourselves about 4 meatballs and a lot of spaghetti. So here's the spaghetti, put it in the water. When this part starts sagging down because it's getting cooked, we push that part in. So, I think the pasta is basically done. The spaghetti is done. We're going to do the test. Take a little piece like this and throw it against the cupboard. It sticks. It is done. So we're just going to leave it there and start plating the spaghetti up. Oh, yeah, let me show you. There it is, stuck on the cupboard. So let's plate this stuff up. We're not going to leave it there. Gonna take it down, throw it out. Anyway, let's drain the spaghetti out. Just shake it off a little bit. And since this is a lot of spaghetti, a lot more than I thought it would be, just gonna pour, we're gonna pour half of it into that little bowl. So here's the spaghetti. Look how wonderful and delicious it looks. Let's start giving it some meatballs. These are pretty big meatballs, but we are hungry. One. And let's give it a nice healthy amount of sauce. Oh yeah. Give it some more sauce. There we go. Oh, that's a lot of sauce. Don't they look wonderful? Now, before we start eating, let's give it a nice layer of Parmesan cheese. Snowy mountain effect. Sprinkle some on there. So I am ready to eat. Let's cut open one of these meatballs. Show you guys that it's completely cooked. Actually, to tell you the truth, wonderfully cooked. Oh, wow. And make another cut. Look at this. This is the meatball. It is completely done. Completely cooked. Hot and steaming. I'm hot and sweaty. But anyway, I'm gonna dip it in this little bit of sauce that's sitting on top of the spaghetti and take a bite. Hot. Mmm. 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 That is so delicious. It tastes like a normal meatball with the right spices, perfectly spiced, and all that, really delicious. But with Italian sausage in it, oh my god, you just can't get better than this. These meatballs are done. I'm ready to eat. Really delicious, and I am starving now, so I'm gonna get an eaten. So thank you guys for watching again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.